Hi, this is Robert Miller. I'm here to explain to you about the acceptable use policy. The current acceptable use policy requires all users of all New Canaan Public Schools information and communication technology resources to sign the acceptable use policy annually. It is our responsibility to adhere to these guidelines. Continued use of these resources is dependent on our compliance to the AUP. Violations of the AUP are not taken lightly and may result in a loss of access to ICT resources and potential impact on continued employment in New Canaan. We provide internet access and technology resources for educational purposes. This includes instruction and productivity, but does not include use for shopping, travel arrangements, and other personal use. We also ask all ICT users to not install software on any school device. This is to ensure compliance with software licenses. We do encourage students and staff to use personal devices, such as tablets, laptops, smartphones, etc. on our wireless network. We each have our own unique usernames and passwords. However, our use of ICT resources, including email, should not be considered private. All use may be monitored and reviewed if warranted. As a reminder, all communication falls within the Freedom of Information law and has the potential of being requested and turned over to a third party. As a rule of thumb, don't send an email that you would have concerns being printed in the newspaper or online via the patch. Any content developed, written, and published in any media is copyright and property of the New Canaan Public Schools. All distributed content must follow the legal, ethical, and responsible use guidelines. Please be exceptionally cautious with protecting the identity of our students by shielding names and locations. All content must be age appropriate for your audience and vetted for any questionable content. For example, all internet links shared with students on paper or online must be cited, be age appropriate, and verified for accuracy. If you have any additional questions on copyright and fair use, you may see your school librarian or technology integrator. If at any time you see another person being bullied, harassed, threatened, intimidated, or receiving improper messages, please report it to your school administrator or district administrator as soon as possible. As stated a few minutes ago, all uses of ICT resources must be for academic use and/or professional productivity. We ask all users to agree to comply with these guidelines that fall in the following three areas. First, ethical and responsible use of ICT resources. We ask you not to delete or remove network folders or data that is not yours. We also ask you not to move any technology devices on your own. We also ask that you do not attempt to gain access to any technology resources that you currently do not have access to, and ask an ICT specialist for support if you feel you need access to a specific resource. This includes refraining from installing software and/or configuring any computers on your own. All communications and ICT use must be for legitimate and educationally relevant purposes. This includes the respect for the confidentiality of all our students. For example, please do not list on an email a student's full name and special education or discipline detail at any point. You should be communicating respectfully and not harassing, threatening, or bullying via email. While our internet access is filtered, there will be times you access a site that is not appropriate. We understand this and ask that you avoid accessing content that is obscene, harmful, or prohibited by the law. For example, high school students are encouraged to use YouTube, while at the middle school and elementary schools we do not. We also ask and encourage high school teachers to use social networking with their students, but ask them to use separate work social network accounts rather than their personal social network accounts. Third, we ask you to respect the work of others in the network and keep your work confidential and private. This includes keeping your username and password confidential by not sharing it with anybody else. Respecting the work of others by not deleting, moving, or copying the work without their permission. Especially important, protecting the confidentiality and safety of our students when publishing and sharing content, specifically by adhering to the district publishing guidelines and respecting copyright and fair use principles and guidelines. We strictly forbid plagiarism of any kind, and I remind you that as we use ICT resources in front of our students, we're modeling appropriate and in some cases inappropriate behaviors. I encourage and ask you to model only appropriate behaviors at all times. The guidelines are established and referenced by Board of Education Policies 4620, 4625, and 6141. You may read these policies on the district website. Thank you for taking the past 6 minutes to review the acceptable use policy with me. I ask that you electronically sign your acceptance of the acceptable use policy now. If at any time you have any questions or concerns about technology or the AUP, feel free to contact me via email, phone, or stop by central office to see me. Thank you.